For years, fans have been clamoring for a remake of their favourite game, and now we're getting exactly what we wanted. Or are we? Until the big announcement, we all joked, wouldn't it be hilarious to see this in today's graphics? But then it was, holy shit, they're actually going to show that in today's graphics. Video games have come a long way since 1997, as far as storytelling goes. We no longer rely on broad characterizations to depict characters' thoughts and motivations. Technology has allowed us to experience narrative with incredible realism, and with that has come a level of subtlety in both animation and characterization. Society arguably has come a long way too, especially in parts of the West in terms of socially progressive views and acceptance. We live in an inclusive society where perceived negative depictions of gender, race, sexuality, etc. are frowned upon. But is this conducive to trying to tell the story you want to tell? Final Fantasy VII is definitely a product of its time, but would today's audience accept things exactly as they were? Or should it have to change to suit modern tastes? Depictions of women, depictions of race, sexuality, gender identity, political correctness, character tropes, animal welfare? These are all things I can see being an issue for people, whether they're genuine concerns or not. There are two sides to this debate. One, remake the game as it was, preserving everything as it was back in 1997. Or two, remake the game catering to today's sensibilities. Let's start with Barret's depiction. Some would say Barret is a walking black stereotype, or Japan's idea of what African American men are like, and therefore racist. He's brash, angry, and speaks with an urban dialect. Is that depiction racist? No, not at all. That's just Barret's character, his culture. While yes, you could argue that Barret plays up some of those racial characteristics, or rather, attributes that are usually aligned to African American men, that in itself is not racist. That's just how some real people speak and act. Why is culture such a bad thing that it's politically incorrect to write characters as belonging to it? Because an urban dialect isn't fitting of a distinguished vocabulary? Come on now. It's racist when you lock people into a frame based on preconceived notions, or you look down on them for it. And that in itself would equate to whitewashing the character. Sure, some of his gestures in the original game were over the top, and sometimes animalistic. But this is merely to get across the character's thoughts using the limited animation of the time. Other characters use similar exaggerated gestures. Meanwhile, Barret was presented in the story as a complex character, and a positive father figure through his relationship with his adoptive daughter, Marlene. Well, until Advent Children, where he abandoned her and... From the glimpses we've seen of Barret in the remake, his speech and mannerisms show nuance, as the creators always intended. Now, let's talk about Tifa's appearance. I think a lot has been made about this, due to her depiction within the fandom. A lot of people see her as this large-breasted sex object, when in the actual game, she isn't portrayed as that at all. In fact, with the exception of a single optional conversation, the game almost never draws attention to Tifa's appearance. We talked about fan perceptions of Tifa in another video, which I'll link to in the description. She is written as a strong female protagonist, but also nurturing, even maternal at times, and unsure of herself. That is her character. So does it seem right for the developers to pander to the idea of her as eye candy, or a sex object? We all know large breasts exist. The issue really is how the team treat the character. Will they pander to parts of the fandom and have ridiculous jiggle physics, shots that linger on certain body parts, and upskirt shots, or will they keep it classy? My guess would be the latter. In recent years, Square Enix have taken opposing positions on this. With the Tomb Raider reboot, they took what was a character who was, in the past, designed and portrayed as a sex object, and turned her into the strong female protagonist we have today. On the other hand, With Lightning Returns, they took a strong, no-nonsense female protagonist and dressed her like a sexy cat girl with pandering poses. Is this true to her character in the game? Sure, you could argue that this is just optional DLC, but still, it doesn't fit with her stoic portrayal we've seen throughout the series. Nevertheless, it's a trend that seems increasingly prevalent in Japanese games. This could come down to Japanese versus Western tastes. Sexual themes are common in Japanese games, as are characters with revealing designs. Therefore, developers may approach this from a different perspective. When Square Enix revealed the character of Cindy in Final Fantasy XV, many Western fans criticized her design for being too sexualized. When these criticisms reached Tabata, he responded by saying, "About Cindy being too sexy, she's actually not meant to be an erotic character. Her character is very energetic and outgoing, and a very active character. With those traits paired with her appearance, we feel it wouldn't be too problematic if, say, she shows up on screen while your parents are in the living room." Cindy was not designed to be an overly sexualized character. Nevertheless, Western audiences perceived her that way due to her clothing. Likewise, Tifa is not meant to be overly sexualized. As long as they stay true to her personality, Square Enix should be able to find a balance between keeping Tifa's appearance intact and letting her remain the strong character she was in the original. But there's one section of the game that raises even more concerns than Barret or Tifa. Yes, I'm talking about Wall Market. The cross-dressing section of the game is probably the number one thing that is brought up when you ask what people are most worried about seeing in the game. It's also the thing that a lot of people are most looking forward to the point that Square Enix confirmed early on that it would still occur in the remake. Early in the game, Cloud and Aerith come up with an unusual plan to rescue Tifa from Don Corneo's mansion. Cloud must dress up as a woman so the two of them can get inside. While it's possible to rush straight through, you need to put a bit more effort in to make Cloud a more attractive woman and get the best outcome. This is proven to be one of the game's most controversial sections. On one hand, the idea of a man dressing up as a woman is played for laughs. It perpetuates numerous stereotypes, and there's one uncomfortable, rapey scene with predatory gay men. On the other hand, many people feel the section was progressive for its time. As Cloud gathers pieces of his costume, no one judges him for wanting to dress up as a woman. Some cross-dressing fans found this refreshing and appreciated seeing such a portrayal, and are offended by the implication that such content and characters should be cut from the game entirely. In short, the content isn't the concern here, the presentation is. There's nothing wrong with Square Enix keeping the cross-dressing section. Yes, times have changed and the section contains harmful stereotypes, but if they change the presentation, especially in the problematic hot tub scene, they should be able to include the scenario in an inoffensive way. That makes the question one of responsibility then. Do artists have a responsibility to avoid presenting material that, if harmful, ultimately only will be due to what the recipient of the art is or isn't themselves bringing to the table? Of course, not all offense is down to an intentional desire to cause harm. You can do it through ignorance, which is probably the case here. Square did not write the hot tub scene with the intent to hurt anyone. Rather than being due to malice, it's probably just the result of the writers not knowing more than what society tells them about gay people. Which, if you don't have any actual first-hand experience of gay people, is going to be based on stereotypes in media. There are even people today who haven't had any meaningful interaction with an openly gay person, beyond what they see in the media or stereotypes. And 1997 was a different time in both media representation and general public attitudes toward homosexuality. Can the scene be funny? Yes. But the comedy should come from Cloud's discomfort as a result of having to do things so contrary to his persona he had portrayed until that point in the game, not because the men in the scene are gay stereotypes. He's also taking part in this for a purpose, to help his friend. Leaving the scene open to interpretation could be the answer. or even just presenting those characters as friendly, normal people. With all of this in mind, how will Final Fantasy VII appear to a modern audience? If unchanged, will the remake feel like a relic of the past? The countless fans who still love it and have played the original's re-release suggest otherwise, but those questionable issues still remain. Can the content be changed in such a way as to hold true to the writer's intents and keep the feeling of the game and characters intact? Yes, it can. At the start, I presented two options. Preserve everything in the game the way it was in 1997, or change events to cater to today's sensibility. But there is a third option. Find a balance point between the two. From Barret to Tifa, to the people Cloud meets when he decides to cross-dress, the characters in Final Fantasy VII aren't a concern. Rather, it's that their portrayal has the potential to cause misunderstandings. What do you think? Will Final Fantasy VII hold up to modern scrutiny? Can Square Enix find that balance point? And most importantly, what will be the game's mimetic legacy, as Sephiroth put it? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to leave a like. It really does help. And subscribe if you haven't already. We'll have more content coming up in the run-up to the release of the remake, so stay tuned.